Okay, guys, welcome to Sports Matters TV. And yet again, it's all things Liverpool right now. And who better to speak Liverpool Football Club with than the man himself, Mr. James Pearce. And James, first of all, there's so many fans out there right now. They're biting their nails in regards to contracts and incoming players maybe in January. But I'm going to pick your brains. I'm going to go straight to it, my man. We've got three top world class players at this moment in time that are, well, they haven't signed contracts just yet, but we have obviously Trent, Virgil Van Dijk, and Mo Salah. So I want to pick your brains first of all on these contract issues. You know, you might know something, you might have heard some stuff, but let's talk Trent Alexander first. And according to reports, obviously Real Madrid want him. He's a player that we obviously admire, one of the best in the world. But do you think Trent stays at Liverpool? Do you think he goes to Real Madrid, or do you reckon he's going to be a couple of more twists in this saga?
Yeah, I think the honest answer is we don't know which way things are going to go at the minute. You know, there's so much speculation around Trent and people claiming that they know definitively what's happening, and it's just there's a lot of noise, I'd say, without anything reliable whatsoever. Because I know from speaking to all parties involved that they've kept their cards incredibly close to their chest. You know, Trent Alexander-Arnold, you know, his bond with Liverpool is there for all to see. And you know, whatever happens, he has been adamant throughout this whole process that he wanted to ensure that things stayed private in terms of the negotiations and respectful. And I think that's exactly how it's been up to this point. He hasn't spoken publicly about things since I think it was back end of September when I spoke to him after a game. When he talked then about how, you know, silverware and challenging for the biggest trophies was going to be the key thing to his decision. And of course, since then, Liverpool have gone out in front in the Premier League and in the Champions League. So you think that's bound to have given him food for thought. The fact that, you know, it's starting to look like, why would you go anywhere else if winning the biggest trophies is your motivation? But at the same time, we know, and the Athletic have reported it, that Real Madrid have made, you know, the signing of Alexander Arnold a priority for them in 2025. You know, of course, they lost Carvajal to injury. They're in the market for a right back, and you know, why would you not try and sign Alexander Arnold? It's almost a unique market opportunity. Someone of his caliber available on a free in the summer of 2025. So yeah, I think common sense dictates that the longer it drags on, the more chance there is that he will leave, because I think you only have to look in the modern era when players get inside that final 4 or 5 months of their contracts. It's quite rare when it gets to that point that players end up staying. But all I can say at the moment is Liverpool haven't given up hope of keeping him.
Definitely, it is a tricky one. What do you reckon he's looking for, James? I know, like obviously there's a money factor, and you look at he's, you know what I mean. He's a world class player. And Liverpool have this policy in place, as we're aware of. Obviously, they have a structure, but you know, the fans obviously say it's the same with Salah and Dijk. Throw whatever money they want at them. You know what I mean? Would you be more in favour to see Trent stay, in your opinion? Because you've covered many transfers throughout the years. Yet again, he's a home Liverpool boy, future captain, in my opinion. Like it's probably essential that they do keep him, isn't it?
Oh, I think it's absolutely essential. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, for a start, he's the future Liverpool captain. You know, of course, when he was given the vice captaincy by Klopp and has retained it under Slot, that was with a view to succession planning. With one day he'd take the armband over on a permanent basis than Van Dijk, and who better to captain Liverpool than someone who's, you know, had the club so close to his heart from, you know, the day he first walked into the academy at the age of 6. So. Yeah, I think, you know, well, what I don't understand is when I hear people say just give him or give Salah or Van Dijk whatever they want. You know, that's not how running a business works. You know, because if you give one of them exactly what they want, then you guarantee you'll have the agents of the other two knocking on Richard Hughes's door, you know, demanding the same, if not more. So it has to be done within a financial framework that makes sense. But, quite rightly, at the age of 26, coming into his peak years, Alexander-Arnold will want a contract that kind of recognizes his status in the global game, and it's there for all to see. And yes, Liverpool are very lucky to have a deputy like Conor Bradley, who's such an exciting talent with so much potential. But you only had to look at that Manchester City game on Sunday to see, the pass that Trent played to Salah in the build-up to the first goal. There's very, very few players in world football who are capable of either seeing it and then executing a pass like that. So yeah, it's obviously complicated by the fact that Liverpool did leave it late to open talks because of the kind of upheaval that's been at the club. Everything regarding contracts got put on the back burner pretty much until Richard Hughes took over as sporting director this summer. And the outcome of that is that Liverpool have been talking to Trent's representatives at the same time as, of course, clubs across Europe will be showing interest because of the fact that they be able to sign in without a transfer fee. And of course, if you're not paying a transfer fee, then you're going to be offering a huge signing on fee as well as massive wages.
Yeah, it is a tough one. And yet again, look, it's a big transition with Liverpool Football Club. Thankfully, we're leading the way in the Premier League and the Champions League. But yet again, another player that the fans and you know what I mean, that's in the spotlight right now is Mo Salah. And yet again, there's reports left, right, and centre. He's got many offers on the table. Most recently, apparently, PSG are interested. But you know what I mean? This is another one where it seems Salah is kind of hinting that he wants to stay. Obviously, he wants. There's obviously terms he wants in his contract. How do you see this one pan out, James?
I think it's been a really interesting few weeks in the kind of Salah saga because it's clearly been a concerted ploy to kind of crank up the pressure on Liverpool. It was for a long time, it was pretty tight-lipped, I'd say, on all sides. And then I was one of the reporters that spoke to Salah after the game at Southampton recently. And he doesn't make a habit of speaking to the English written media that I've been covering Liverpool well throughout his tenure. What's that, 7.5 years of watching Salah play for Liverpool, 7.5 years of asking him to stop for interviews, and it's only happened 3 times ever. And I certainly didn't expect the third time to be at Southampton away on a very cold, windy Sunday afternoon outside by the team coach. So I think the fact that he wanted it out there clearly, that he said he hasn't had a formal offer yet, and that the quote was, "I'm probably more out than in" regarding the end of the season, was clearly his way of kind of upping the ante in terms of saying and I think I'd say he's probably done more than hinted he wants to stay. I think he's been pretty blatantly obvious that he wants to stay. He loves playing for Liverpool. He really values that bond that he has with the fan base. He knows as much as he's been incredible for Liverpool, Liverpool's been incredible for him in terms of helping him elevate himself to the absolute highest level in the world game. And he wants to stay and keep breaking records at the club. And also I think the other thing I deduced from the chat with him is he's frustrated at how slow the negotiation process has been. He wants things to hurry up. My colleague Simon Hughes at The Athletic reported yesterday that Salah would be prepared to sign a 1-year extension, which I thought was a really interesting development because one of the things that's been talked about a lot is maybe he wants too long a deal, maybe he wants 3 years, which at 3 years on top of his current deal would take him up to his 36th birthday, and of course then that throws into the mix. Well, do you really want to commit, say, 400 to 500,000 pounds a week on a player when they're 35 going on 36? And that probably is a dilemma because as good as he is now, you've almost got to try and predict how good you think he's still going to be in a few years' time. But if he is willing to only sign a 1-year extension on similar terms to what he's on at the minute, then for me that's a no-brainer for Liverpool.
Yeah. Would you be leaning more to Salah staying with Liverpool? Because yet again, it does seem like he wants to stay. That 1-year contract extension to me is the jackpot with the fans and the club itself. But would you be kind of leaning that Salah might stay and sign that contract in the next week or two?
I honestly don't. I think it's impossible to call at the minute. I'd say it's 50-50 because it's probably a bit too simplistic to say just because he's willing to sign a 1 year, it will just now get done. Because I don't get the impression that that's a sudden development on his part. I think from my information, is that he's been open to that for a while. I don't think he's suddenly decided, well, actually, I don't want three, I want one. It's just that information has only just come out into the public domain. And of course, even if say it was a 1 year extension, there's still a lot of negotiating there in terms of the balance between how much of the wages would be guaranteed in terms of a basic, how much of it is bonus related, what are those bonuses going to be? So it's I certainly don't get the impression at the moment that anything is advanced with Salah.
Yeah.
And again, I believe that at the minute, that he isn't. There's no kind of discussions with anyone else because his priority is to stay. But of course, if that process doesn't hurry up in the next 4 or 5 weeks, and we get to January, then quite rightly, him and his people will start holding discussions with clubs overseas. Because if you are a club elsewhere in Europe, you'd look at Salah, look at what is it, 13 goals, 11 assists so far this season. I think it's a goal involvement every 67 minutes.
Yeah.
And you'd be you'd be queuing up, wouldn't you, to try and take him off Liverpool's hands. So yeah, I think it's really difficult one at the minute to say which way that will go. Where I still cling to the hope that a compromise can be reached is just how clear it is that Salah wants to stay. It's just, can they reach an agreement on those terms? Because yes, he wants to stay, but he also, he regards himself as right up there with the greatest players in the world, which I think at the minute he's proven that. So he will want to be suitably reimbursed for that, whether that's for an extra year or an extra 2 years.
Let's hope they move fast on that one because I think as a fan, we really want that one. And we have to talk yet again, Captain Fantastic Van Dijk. He's been, you know what I mean, supreme all season. Great leader. I'm a big fan of Virgil Van Dijk. This is the one, James, I'm probably confident with. I generally believe Van Dijk will sign a new contract. I could be completely wrong, but do you see Van Dijk getting a deal over the line and signing a new deal at the club?
Yeah, I agree. I think all the way along, out of the three of them, he's been the one that I was most confident that it would reach a positive conclusion, and I haven't really wavered on that. I think there were some rumours doing the rounds last week that his contract extension was done and that there was going to be an announcement on Friday. Not quite. I think people were putting two and two together and getting about 17 because I think it stemmed from the fact that Slot did his press conference on Thursday rather than Friday. And of course, the last time Liverpool did a Thursday press conference before a weekend game, it was when Klopp then on the Friday morning announced that he was going to be stepping down at the end of the season. So I think people thought that must mean they've kind of cleared the decks for a big announcement on Friday, when the reality was that, Slot had a lot of family over visiting from Holland and he wanted, with the schedule as it was, wanted to spend time with them rather than with the media on Friday morning, which I don't blame him for. So yeah, and I think you only have to look at kind of Van Dijk's kind of the way he's dealt with things and the kind of noises coming out from his camp, that it's very different to the Salah one, I think, where clearly there is that frustration with Salah, the pace of things, whilst, my understanding is Van Dijk is very relaxed about things. He absolutely loves leading Liverpool, loves being the captain. I think on current form, he's the best centre back in world football. He forget his age. He has been absolutely unbelievably good so far this season. So, when a player clearly is desperate to stay and he's still performing at such a high level, and also, it's important to say he's not the cost of his wages aren't, and they aren't close to Salah's, when Salah has got the biggest contract in the club's history. I think all of that points to it being more straightforward to agree an extension with him. And I just think, giving him another 2 years, is just common sense because yeah, he's an absolute Rolls Royce of a defender, and can you imagine the cost involved of trying to replace someone like Van Dijk?
Impossible. He's absolutely priceless for our club. And look, last of all, there are three great takes. I'm glad we have an insight in the mind of James Pearce. Last, Arne Slot's come in, and I'm going to be honest, James. Before he signed it, I didn't really know much about him. He's come in. He's been a breath of fresh air. He's what way is he with the media? He seems like a bit of a character. And look, he's been immense for Liverpool since the season has started.
Yeah, he's very much kind of what you see is what you get with him. Very kind of matter of fact, straight to the point. Doesn't like giving anything away on injuries or what someone has done and how long they're likely to be out for. But when you ask him about anything tactically, you can see he kind of like can't help but kind of talk about it because I think he's a football obsessive in terms of you speak to the players, his attention to detail, the number of meetings they have now. Just he's a really good communicator. And I think that comes across in his, with the media. And of course it helps when you're winning games. I think it'll be really interesting to see how he deals with things when Liverpool do have a blip, because they will have a blip. It's inevitable. But he's surpassed everyone's expectations so far. And I think with the media, I think he's struck a really nice balance between being respectful to the past, respectful to Klopp. He's repeatedly said, I was very lucky to inherit such a gifted squad of players. But there's also that kind of inner steel and self-belief in him, which I think was what convinced him to take on the challenge in the first place, where, he's not shy to talk up, what he has changed and what he is trying to, tweak here and there to, change the balance of the team, where he certainly made them a hell of a lot more resilient defensively. The protection so much better with the balance in midfield now. And yeah, he's been a revelation. Like most people, when Liverpool went for Slot, I knew a bit about him from his body of work in Holland, but not much. And of course, there's been a few high-profile examples of Dutch coaches coming to the Premier League and failing badly. And when he hadn't managed outside of his homeland, you were thinking, that is a big ask. Is he ready to take the step up? Also, is he ready to fill the shoes of such an icon as Klopp? But yeah, I mean, the transition so far has been more seamless than anyone could possibly have envisaged. Everyone was talking about it was going to be like Alex Ferguson at Man United situation in terms of we all know what happened there after Ferguson walked away. Klopp. It helps the fact that Klopp left such firm foundations in place, but yeah, take nothing away from how Slot has built on those foundations and taken Liverpool to the next level so far.
Definitely, it's exciting times as a Liverpool fan. No doubt as a journalist as well with Liverpool Football Club. When you're writing every week, there's always something positive. But yet again, James, I'm always grateful for your time. It's been a great couple of months here, and obviously for Liverpool Football Club. But we will catch you, no doubt, in January. Hopefully, we have some transfer rumours that we can confirm, and hopefully at the end of the season, we're talking about a Premier League title and what's next for Liverpool.
Great stuff. Yeah, I hope so. Cheers, Jerry.
Thanks, James. We'll see you soon, mate. Thank you.